Section 21 of How to Cook Fish. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. How to Cook Fish by Olive Green. Section 21. 65 Ways to Cook Mackerel. Broiled Spanish Mackerel, Recipe 1. Cut a fish down the middle. Take out all the bones and cut again in halves. Dry on a cloth and sprinkle with salt and pepper. Beat 2 eggs, add an equal quantity of olive oil, dip the fish into this, then into breadcrumbs, and broil over a clear fire. Broiled Spanish Mackerel, Recipe 2. Split the mackerel down the back and broil carefully over a clear fire. Season with butter, pepper, and salt. Broiled Fresh Mackerel, Recipe 1. Split 2 fresh mackerel, remove the backbone, season with salt and pepper, rub with olive oil, and broil. Serve with melted butter, lemon juice, and minced parsley. Broiled Mackerel, Recipe 2. Draw and wash the mackerel, cut off the head, rub with olive oil, and broil. Sprinkle with minced parsley, onions, and lemon juice, and serve very hot. Broiled Mackerel, Recipe 3. Split a mackerel down the back, take out the backbone, sprinkle with salt, and broil on a buttered gridiron. Serve with melted butter, lemon juice, salt, and pepper. A little minced parsley may be added. Broiled Mackerel with anchovy butter. Split and broil a fresh mackerel and serve with melted butter, seasoned with anchovy paste. Broiled Mackerel au beurre noir. Open the mackerel, remove the bones, sprinkle with pepper and salt, spread with butter and broil. Cook a tablespoonful of butter until brown. Take from the fire, add the juice of half a lemon, and pour over the fish. Garnish with parsley. Broiled Mackerel à la Livournaise. Broil a Spanish mackerel, seasoning with salt and pepper and basting with oil. Serve with a sauce made of 8 pounded anchovies mixed with mayonnaise and seasoned with pepper, grated nutmeg, and minced parsley. The sauce is served cold. Broiled Mackerel with Normandy sauce. Soak cleaned mackerel in oil with chopped onion and parsley to season. Leave the roe inside. Rub the inside with lemon juice and butter. Wrap in oiled paper and broil over a slow fire for 40 minutes. Prepare a cream sauce and add to it 2 tablespoonfuls each of mushroom catsup and fish stock, or boiling water in which a little anchovy paste has been dissolved. Bring to the boil, take from the fire, add the yolks of 2 eggs and the juice of half a lemon. Add 1 tablespoonful of butter, pour over the fish, and serve. Broiled Mackerel à la Fleurette. Split a Spanish mackerel, remove the bones, and season with salt, pepper, and olive oil, basting with oil as needed. For the sauce, cook in a saucepan, without browning, 4 chopped shallots, 2 tablespoonfuls of vinegar, a teaspoonful each of chopped chives and parsley, salt, pepper, and grated nutmeg to season, 2 tablespoonfuls of melted butter, and a tablespoonful of flour. Cook until smooth, stirring constantly. Take from the fire, add 2 tablespoonfuls of butter and the juice of half a lemon, pour over the fish, and serve. Broiled Salt Mackerel, Recipe 1. Soak the fish overnight in cold water. In the morning, drain, cover with boiling water, and let stand for an hour. Rinse in cold water, wipe dry, and soak for 20 minutes in oil and vinegar or lemon juice. Broil and serve with melted butter, lemon juice, and minced parsley. Broiled Salt Mackerel, Recipe 2. Prepare the fish according to directions given in the preceding recipe. Take the fish from the hot water and cover for 5 minutes with cold water. Wipe dry, soak in olive oil and lemon juice for half an hour. Drain, broil, and serve with tartar sauce. Broiled salt mackerel, Recipe 3. Soak overnight, drain, wipe, rub with butter, and broil. Pour over it a sauce made of a tablespoonful of butter, a teaspoon of lemon juice or vinegar, a tablespoonful of hot water, a pinch of pepper, and a chopped cucumber pickle. Bring to the boil and pour over the fish. Broiled salt mackerel with cream. Soak overnight in cold water, drain, wipe dry, rub with oil, and broil. Serve on a hot platter and pour over half a cupful of hot cream. Sprinkle with minced parsley. Broiled mackerel with tarragon sauce. Soak the cleaned fish for an hour in olive oil and broil. Serve with melted butter seasoned with pepper, salt, and tarragon vinegar. Boiled mackerel, Recipe 1. Boil in water or stock to cover, seasoning with onion, sweet herbs, pepper, salt, cloves, and vinegar. Strain the liquor, thicken it with butter and flour blended together, and add to it minced parsley and hard-boiled eggs, chopped fine. Pour over the fish and serve. Boiled mackerel, Recipe 2. Boil in salted water until done and drain. Serve with egg sauce. Boiled mackerel, Recipe 3. Boil a fresh mackerel in salted and acidulated water. Drain and serve with a cream sauce. Boiled mackerel, Recipe 4. Clean a fresh mackerel and split it down the back. Put it in a dripping pan and pour over it 2 cupfuls of boiling water, 2 tablespoons each of vinegar and lemon juice, and a teaspoonful of salt. Add a sliced onion and boil for 3/4 of an hour. Take up the fish, strain the liquid, add a teaspoonful of capers, bring to the boil, and pour over the fish. Boiled mackerel with gooseberry sauce. Boil the mackerel in salted and acidulated water. Boil 2 cupfuls of gooseberries in water to cover until soft. Drain, rub through a sieve, and mix with an equal quantity of the fish broth, thickened with butter and flour. Add 2 tablespoonfuls of melted butter. Boiled mackerel à la persillade. Boil the fish according to directions given in the preceding recipe. Beat together with an egg beater half a cupful of olive oil, the juice of 2 lemons, 2 tablespoonfuls of minced parsley, 1 tablespoonful of mustard, and a little tarragon vinegar. Pour over the fish and serve. Fresh boiled mackerel. Clean the mackerel, sprinkle with vinegar, wrap in a floured cloth and baste closely. Boil for 3/4 of an hour in salted water. Drain and take off the cloth. Strain a cupful of the water in which the fish was boiled, and bring to the boil with a tablespoonful of walnut catsup, a teaspoonful of anchovy paste, and the juice of half a lemon. Thicken with butter and browned flour. Boiled mackerel à la bolognaise. Clean 4 fresh mackerel. Remove the heads and tails and cut in halves crosswise. Put into a saucepan with sliced onions, a bunch of parsley, salt and pepper, a little white wine, and enough boiling water to cover. Cover with buttered paper and simmer for 15 minutes. Take out the fish, strain the broth, and thicken a pint of it with 2 tablespoonfuls each of butter and flour cooked together. Add 2 tablespoonfuls of butter, a teaspoonful of chopped parsley, and a little tarragon vinegar. Pour over the fish and serve. Boiled salt mackerel, Recipe 1. Soak the fish in cold water overnight, and in the morning rinse thoroughly. Wrap in a cloth and put to boil in cold water. Bring slowly to the boiling point and cook for 30 minutes. Unwrap carefully, take out the backbones, and pour over a little melted butter and cream, seasoning with pepper. Or serve with a sauce made of a cupful of milk thickened with a teaspoonful of cornstarch and season with butter, pepper, salt, and minced parsley. Take from the fire, add 1 egg well beaten, and pour over the fish. Garnish with lemon and parsley. Boiled salt mackerel, Recipe 2. Soak overnight in cold water, and in the morning rinse thoroughly. Boil, drain, and pour over a cupful of hot cream in which a tablespoonful of butter has been melted. Boiled salt mackerel, Recipe 3. Wash thoroughly, cover with cold water to which a chopped onion and a little black pepper have been added, and boil until the flesh loosens from the bone. Drain and serve with melted butter and minced parsley. Boiled salt mackerel, Recipe 4. Soak the fish overnight in cold water, and in the morning cover with hot water for half an hour. Drain and boil in acidulated water or in milk until done. Serve with a cream sauce to which chopped hard-boiled eggs have been added, or with tomato sauce. Boiled salt mackerel, Recipe 5. Soak the fish overnight in cold water. Drain and simmer for 15 minutes in water to cover, adding a teaspoonful of vinegar, a bay leaf, a slice of onion, and a sprig of parsley. When tender, place on a hot platter and pour over it a cream sauce. Boiled salt mackerel, Recipe 6. Prepare the fish according to directions given in the preceding recipe and simmer for 20 minutes in acidulated water. Drain and pour over it a cream sauce. Boiled salt mackerel, Recipe 7. Prepare according to directions given in the preceding recipe. Pour over a sauce made of stewed and strained tomatoes, thickened with butter and browned flour, and seasoned with pepper, salt, sugar, and grated onion. Baked mackerel, Recipe 1. Clean the mackerel. Split down the back and cut each fish in 4 pieces. Put in a baking dish in layers, seasoning each layer with bay leaves, cloves, peppercorns, and sliced onions or shallots. Cover with 1 cupful of stock, 3 tablespoons each of white wine and vinegar, 1 tablespoon each of anchovy sauce and mushroom catsup, and a teaspoonful of Worcestershire. Bake in a moderate oven. Take out the fish carefully, strain the sauce over them, and let cool. Baked mackerel, Recipe 2. Split a fresh mackerel, take out the backbone, dry thoroughly, and sprinkle the inside with salt and pepper. Drain the liquor from a quart of oysters, and put aside a dozen of the large ones. Chop the remaining oysters coarsely. Fry 2 chopped onions in butter. Add the chopped oysters with 3 chopped hard-boiled eggs and a tablespoonful of minced parsley. Season with salt and pepper and cool. Mix with the yolks of 2 raw eggs and a tablespoonful of butter. Stuff the fish and sew up. Put into a baking pan. Cover with buttered paper and bake for 20 minutes, basting as required. Add the oysters and bake for 5 minutes longer. Serve the fish on a warm platter with lemon juice squeezed over it, and place the oysters around it on thin circles of toast spread with anchovy paste. Garnish with parsley and lemon, and serve very hot. Baked mackerel, Recipe 3. Gash 2 cleaned fresh mackerel and put in a buttered baking dish with 2 tablespoonfuls of white wine, 3 tablespoonfuls of mushroom liquor, a chopped shallot, and salt and pepper to season. Cover with buttered paper and bake for 15 minutes in a moderate oven. Take up the fish and add to the gravy a little chopped onion, mushrooms, shallot, parsley, and garlic fried together, and enough white stock to make the required quantity of sauce. Thicken with butter and flour cooked together. Take from the fire and add the yolks of 3 eggs well beaten. Add the juice of half a lemon and a tablespoonful of butter and pour over the fish. Baked mackerel, recipe 4. Soak a fresh cleaned fish for half an hour in olive oil and lemon juice. Lay in a baking pan upon thin slices of fat salt pork. Sprinkle with salt and pepper and bake for 25 minutes. Serve with tomato sauce. Baked fillet of mackerel, recipe 1. Remove the head and backbone from a large fresh mackerel and place the roe on top. Chop fine 6 shallots or 3 small onions, half a pound of mushrooms, and 3 or 4 sprigs of parsley. Add a teaspoonful of salt and a pinch of pepper. Put half of this mixture in a buttered baking pan. Lay the fish upon it and pour over 6 tablespoonfuls of white wine. Spread the remaining seasoning on top. Sprinkle with crumbs, dot with butter, cover with buttered paper, and bake for 30 minutes. Pour over a little melted butter, garnish with lemon and parsley, and serve in the dish in which it is baked. Baked fillets of mackerel, recipe 2. Butter an oval baking dish and spread chopped oysters on the bottom. Arrange upon it the fillets of 4 fresh mackerel, skinned and seasoned with salt and pepper. Sprinkle with chopped onion, parsley and mushrooms. Cover with 1 cupful of beef stock, thickened with browned flour. Sprinkle with crumbs, dot with butter, and bake for half an hour. Sprinkle with lemon juice and serve in the same dish. Baked fillets of mackerel, recipe 3. Clean and fillet the fish. Put in a buttered baking dish. Season with salt, pepper, and minced parsley. Squeeze lemon juice over. Pour on a little melted butter. Cover with buttered paper and bake. Drain and serve with maître d'hôtel sauce. Baked fillets of mackerel with cream. Cook the prepared fillets in melted butter and drain. Thicken 2 cupfuls of white stock with butter and flour cooked together. Add a wineglassful of white wine. Take from the fire and add the yolks of 2 eggs well beaten. Cover the fillets with the sauce. Sprinkle with crumbs and grated cheese. Dot with butter and bake brown. Sprinkle with lemon juice and serve in the same dish. Mackerel baked in cream. Skin and bone a large fish. Cut it into 4 pieces, season it and fry in butter. Drain it and keep warm. Mix a cupful of white stock with 2 tablespoonfuls of sherry and the yolk of an egg. Cook until it thickens and pour over the fish, seasoning with minced parsley and onion. Sprinkle with crumbs and bake until brown. Baked fresh mackerel with fine herbs. Split and clean the fish, remove the head and tail, put into a buttered dripping pan, sprinkle with salt and pepper, dot with butter, and pour over 2/3 of a cupful of milk. Bake for 25 minutes in a hot oven. Baked Spanish mackerel with fine herbs. Butter a baking dish. Sprinkle with chopped shallots, parsley and mushrooms. Lay a cleaned mackerel upon it. Sprinkle with more chopped shallots, parsley and mushrooms. Season with salt, pepper, grated nutmeg, and dots of butter. Add 2 wineglassfuls of white wine and a cupful of white stock. Cover with a buttered paper and boil, basting frequently. Thicken the sauce with a tablespoonful of flour cooked in butter. Pour over the fish, sprinkle with crumbs, dot with butter and bake brown. Squeeze lemon juice over the top and serve in the same dish. Baked mackerel with oyster stuffing. Make a stuffing of 12 chopped oysters, a cupful of breadcrumbs, the chopped yolks of 2 hard-boiled eggs, a tablespoonful of butter, and onion juice, minced parsley, salt and pepper to season. Bind with the yolk of a raw egg, and fill a cleaned fresh mackerel with the stuffing. Put the fish on a buttered baking dish, dredge with flour, and pour around it a cupful each of boiling water and stock. Bake until done, basting often with melted butter and the drippings. When done, slide on to a hot platter and add to the remaining liquid sufficient warm water to make the required quantity of sauce. Thicken with browned flour, seasoned with tomato catsup and Worcestershire. Pour over the fish and serve. Baked salt mackerel. Soak overnight in cold water. In the morning, drain, cover with boiling water and let stand for 5 minutes. Drain and put into a baking pan. Rub with butter, season with pepper, and pour over half a cupful of cream or milk. Bake until brown. Baked salt mackerel with cream sauce. Soak a salt mackerel overnight. In the morning, drain, rinse, and put into a baking pan with a pint of milk. Bake for 20 minutes. Take up the fish and thicken the milk with a tablespoon each of butter and flour cooked together. Season with salt and pepper, pour over the fish, and serve. Fried mackerel. Fry 3 slices of salt pork and add to the fat a teaspoonful of Worcestershire sauce. Fry in this fresh mackerel, dredged with flour. Season with melted butter. The mackerel may be dipped in beaten egg before it is dipped in flour. Fried salt mackerel. Soak all day in cold water, changing the water every 2 hours. In the morning, drain, wipe dry, roll in flour, and fry in melted butter. Serve with melted butter and parsley. Mackerel à la Havraise. Clean the fish, take out the backbone, and put into a baking pan. To each mackerel add 4 tablespoonfuls of butter, 2 tablespoonfuls of chopped shallots, and salt, pepper, and grated nutmeg to season. Add 2 cupfuls of white wine, cover and cook slowly for 30 minutes. Take up the fish, thicken the sauce with a tablespoonful each of butter and flour cooked together, and boil for 5 minutes. Take from the fire, add the yolks of 3 eggs beaten with a cupful of cream, season with lemon juice and minced parsley, pour over the fish, and serve. Spanish mackerel à la Castilienne. Open a Spanish mackerel, take out most of the backbone, season with salt and pepper, and stuff with seasoned crumbs. Put into a buttered baking dish with 2 sliced onions, a bunch of parsley, half a cup of sherry, and 2 cupfuls of white stock. Cover with a buttered paper and cook for half an hour in the oven, basting as needed. Take up the fish, strain the sauce and thicken with butter and flour cooked together. Season with lemon juice and anchovy paste. Add a tablespoonful of butter, pour over the fish, and serve. Spanish mackerel à l'Espagnole. Put a cleaned Spanish mackerel in a buttered pan with 1 cupful each of wine and white stock. Season with salt, pepper, and grated nutmeg. Add a bunch of parsley and a clove of garlic. Cover with buttered paper and simmer for 40 minutes. Take up the fish. Thicken the sauce with browned flour. Season with lemon juice and melted butter. Pour over the fish and serve. Spanish mackerel à la Nassau. Clean and gash a large mackerel. Put in a buttered dish with salt, pepper, half a dozen peeled and sliced tomatoes, 2 wineglassfuls of white wine, and half a cupful of water. Add 2 sliced and parboiled onions, a tablespoonful of minced parsley, and half a cupful of mushrooms. add 2 tablespoonfuls of butter. Cover with buttered paper and bake for half an hour, basting as needed. Take out the fish and add enough stock to make the required quantity of sauce. Thicken with a tablespoonful each of butter and flour cooked together. Pour over the fish, cover with crumbs, dot with butter and bake brown. Squeeze lemon juice over and serve. Spanish mackerel à la Vénitienne. Put the cleaned mackerel into a baking pan with salt, pepper, grated onion, grated nutmeg, minced parsley, a tablespoonful of butter and half a cupful each of white wine and white stock. Cover with a buttered paper and cook for 40 minutes, basting as needed. Take out the fish and add 2 cupfuls of white stock to the sauce. Bring to the boil, take from the fire, thicken with the yolks of 4 eggs and add 2 tablespoonfuls of butter, 2 tablespoonfuls of minced parsley and the juice of a lemon. Pour over the fish and serve. Mackerel à la Tyrol. Wash and dry 2 fresh fish and put into a saucepan with salt, pepper, grated nutmeg, chopped parsley and onion, and 2 tablespoonfuls of cider. Cover and cook for half an hour. Then add 1 cupful of white stock thickened with flour and butter, the yolk of an egg, and a tablespoonful of tarragon vinegar. Strain the sauce over the fish, cover with crumbs, dot with butter, and brown in the oven. Serve in the same dish. Fillets of mackerel à la Orly. Clean and fillet the fish. Remove the skin and bones and soak for an hour in oil and lemon juice, seasoned with chopped onion, parsley, salt, pepper and sweet herbs. Drain, dredge with flour, dip in beaten eggs, roll in crumbs, fry in deep fat and serve with tomato sauce. Fillets of mackerel à l'Indienne. Fillet 2 large fresh mackerel, cut in 2 and remove the skin. Simmer for 15 minutes with 2 tablespoonfuls each of melted butter and curry powder mixed with 2 wineglassfuls of white wine. Season with salt and pepper. Prepare a cream sauce and add to it 2 tablespoons of butter and the juice of a lemon. Pour over the fish and serve with a border of plain boiled rice. Mackerel à la Bretonne. Wash and split a large mackerel, wipe dry, dredge with flour and fry brown in butter. Sprinkle with salt, pepper and lemon juice. Salt mackerel à la Bretonne. Soak the fish for 12 hours and prepare according to directions given above. Serve with melted butter. Scotch mackerel pie. Make a forcemeat of the roe and some parsley, onion, butter, breadcrumbs, thyme, sweet marjoram, and the yolk of an egg. Cut the fish into strips, spread with the filling, and roll. Arrange in a deep dish, pour in half a cupful of stock, and cover with a layer of mashed potatoes. Bake for 3/4 of an hour and serve. Toasted salt mackerel. Soak overnight in cold water and hang up for a day or 2 until perfectly dry. Put in a dry tin and set into the oven for 10 minutes. Mackerel en papillote. Oil a sheet of paper a little larger than the fish. Lay a slice of cooked ham on each piece of paper and spread with chopped onion, carrot, parsley and green pepper fried together in butter. Lay a mackerel on the ham, spread with the fried vegetables, cover with another slice of ham and fold the paper over, twisting the ends. Bake for 15 minutes in a moderate oven. Serve in the paper. Potted mackerel. Pound together an ounce of black pepper and 6 blades of mace. Mix with 2 ounces of salt and half an ounce of grated nutmeg. Rub thoroughly into pieces of fresh mackerel and fry in oil. Drain, and put the fish in a stone jar. Fill with vinegar, and put 2 tablespoons of oil on top. Cover closely and let stand for 2 days before using. Fillets of mackerel with ravigote sauce. Cook the fillets of 4 fish in a buttered dish with salt, pepper, grated nutmeg, and half a cupful of white wine. For the sauce, chop fine 4 shallots and put into a saucepan with 2 tablespoonfuls of butter and 4 tablespoonfuls of tarragon vinegar. Reduce half by boiling and add a pint of white stock thickened with a tablespoonful each of butter and flour cooked together. Add 2 tablespoonfuls of butter, pour over the fish and serve. Mackerel with white wine sauce. Cook 3 fresh mackerel in a cupful of white wine with butter, salt, pepper, grated nutmeg, minced onion, and parsley to season. Take out the fish and add 2 cupfuls of white stock to the gravy. Thicken with 2 tablespoonfuls each of butter and flour cooked together. Take from the fire and add the yolks of 3 eggs well beaten. Pour the sauce over the fish. Sprinkle with crumbs, dot with butter, and bake brown. Sprinkle with lemon juice and serve in a baking dish. Spanish mackerel salad. Drain the oil from a can of pickled Spanish mackerel and cut the fish in slices. Boil a bunch of red beets for half an hour in water to cover, then drain and bake for half an hour in a hot oven. Peel, slice thin, and cool thoroughly. Mix with the mackerel and add a bunch of radishes sliced thin and half a dozen sliced pickles. Surround with lettuce leaves and pour over a French dressing. Stuffed mackerel with anchovy sauce. Stuff the prepared fish with seasoned crumbs mixed with chopped shallots, parsley and mushrooms. Sew up and bake, basting with oil. Serve with cream sauce, seasoned with anchovy essence. German pickled mackerel. Skin, bone, and cut into pieces 4 pounds of fresh mackerel, and put it in layers into a stone jar, sprinkling each layer with pepper, salt, bay leaves, and sweet herbs. Cover with vinegar, seal firmly, and bake for 6 hours in a moderate oven. End of section 21.